Bombshell reporting from the Intercept details explicit and varied complex ties between a network of right-wing media groups and the Israeli government. Cenk, I'm sure you're shocked and also chagrined about this.
Yeah, but you guys gotta watch this story because we're gonna show you evidence here, indisputable evidence that Israel buys a lot of our media. And I don't mean all the purchases of TikTok, CBS, etc. You're gonna see how they influence and literally pay media figures and technology in this country to manipulate you into being in favor of Israel. And by the way, at great expense to us, wars, money we send over to them, etc. So I would argue you're gonna find out how they rob you. Yeah. So let's find out.
Yeah, and these numbers that they're shelling out to influence Americans is a lot of money, okay? It's gonna be pretty overwhelming for you to even just hear about. But understanding how much they get from the US taxpayer in return, it's actually an amazing return on investment.
Totally.
So most of this involves Brad Parscale, former Trump campaign manager. He was paid by Israel to propagandize on behalf of the country on major media channels and paid very well to do it and to pay other people to do it. So while serving as an executive at the Christian media company Salem Media Group, he funneled $13 million from Israel to an entire network of allies and digital strategy firms and contractors and companies and all of that, per an unreported document filed under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. So the document shows that he directed over $500,000 for ads, just for ads, to Salem Media representatives. So that's a subsidiary of Salem Media. Although he was hired to integrate pro-Israel messaging into Salem Media shows. So that includes people like Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, Scott Jennings. Can't wait for him to face some tough questions from Adam Mockler, their next meeting on CNN. These payments to the conservative media conglomerate on behalf of Israel were not previously known, but there's a lot of other companies that get involved and a lot of other sums of money being thrown around. So Israel initially directly hired Parscale's firm, Clock Tower X, this is last September, with a contract worth $6 million. The new filing reveals that his firm has received over $15 million from Havas Media Network, an international media company, again, also on behalf of the Israeli state. Parscale directed another $6 million of Israeli funds to Sparkfire Technologies, an AI chatbot company. That's fun. I'm sure the kids will enjoy those conversations. 3Tech, a software development company founded in 2024, is connected to a constellation of interwoven firms run by Parscale in Ohio and Texas that have been paid with Israeli government money as well. And in fact, 3Tech is listed as a certified partner of a marketing firm that shares Clock Tower X's Medina, Ohio address, along with another Parscale company receiving Israeli money as part of this deal. That's the AI company Eyes-Over. And you know that it's a complicated mess when there's multiple media companies all tied to the same guy getting money. There's literally multiple AI companies all tied to the same guy getting money from the same company. The guy apparently just spends all day spooling up companies to get funded directly from the Israeli government. But that isn't even the end of it. We could jump into more, Cenk, but these are very large sums of money being thrown around seemingly quite casually.
So if you were wondering, why does our media seem so weirdly pro-Israel? Like no matter what Israel does, they're like, oh, they're the victims. You're like, wait, they just bragged on tape, this happened yesterday, that they went from having 53% of Gaza to Netanyahu said, now we have over 60% and we're gonna go to 70%. And then somebody from the audience said, how about 100%? And he said, we're gonna get there over time. Okay, so the Israeli government has voted to never free the Palestinians, keep them as I guess their slaves or whatever, but permanently occupied. They're never to have their own country, they're never to have freedom. And now Netanyahu has declared, yeah, we're gonna take all of Gaza, which shows the lie that it was about self-defense or the hostages have been returned for a long time. And there was a ceasefire, there is a ceasefire right now theoretically. Doesn't matter, Israel has murdered 900 Palestinians in Gaza anyway, they never listened to a ceasefire. Now all these things are super obvious, yet our media almost never reports any of that. If you go watch cable news at any time, if you turn it on right now and you went to Fox News, CNN, or MS Now, they would all be telling you how Israel's the victims and they're only doing self-defense and these monstrous, horrible Muslims that keep attacking poor little Israel. And if you wondered, that's so crazy, why is our media so weirdly biased? And wait, the Palestinians are the bad guys, but they're the ones who are occupied. And the Israelis are the good guys, but they're the ones who are in charge and who've been brutally occupying the Palestinians for 58 years. Why has our media been lying to us our whole lives? And besides which, look, you don't have to trust me, you can look at a map. Israel keeps growing and growing and growing while pretending to do self-defense. So, okay, now you know, Israel literally buys our media. Now you think that a company like Salem is gonna be like, oh yeah, $15 million dispersed in different ways to Salem and their executives and their hosts, etc., is not interesting to them? Well, we know it is because they took it, right? There's no question. And so they take a tremendous amount of money from a foreign government to do the propaganda of that government and to purposely deceive you, their listeners and their viewers and their readers. They take money to manipulate you, I would argue, to betray this country and to serve another country. And the reason I say betray is they've taken $320 billion off of us. Our media brainwashed us into thinking that was normal. That's not at all normal. And it's not like they needed it to fight AIDS or malaria or some worthy cause. No, they wanted it to kill Palestinians. And we did, even Biden, Biden's #1 lifetime donor is the Israeli lobby. Why come the media never told you that? How come the media never tells you the #1 donor to a lifetime donor to Trump and Mike Johnson and Schumer and Jeffries and to 90 is Israel 94% of our Congress bought off by Israel, but your media never tells you because your media is also bought off.
Yeah,
they literally purchased everyone who's in power. I don't mean literally because I'm sure, of course, there are hosts and stuff, maybe even at Salem, but I doubt it, that are not necessarily getting exact checks from the government of Israel. So I don't mean literally everyone.
Let me tell you about someone we hired recently. Great on paper, sure, but what really sold me? They were genuinely interested in the role, asked smart questions. You could tell they actually wanted to work here. Their excitement made their resume stand out from all the others. If you're hiring, you want a candidate who's passionate about your role. But you can't get that insight from just a resume, unless you post your job on ZipRecruiter. Now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds qualified candidates quickly, and ZipRecruiter has a new feature that shows you the most interested, qualified candidates first, so you meet the right people faster. Candidates can tell you in their own words why they're interested in your job. No wonder ZipRecruiter's the #1 rated hiring site. Find candidates who really want your job on ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/TYT. That's ziprecruiter.com/TYT. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
But you can see how vast their network is and how much it has affected almost all of our media. So Salem is a local TV and radio. So if you're watching in Cleveland or you're listening in the middle of Missouri, you have no idea that you're not getting actual news. You're getting propaganda bought by the government of Israel so that you will then agree to giving them hundreds of billions more and fighting more wars for them. And honestly, some of your kids died in Iran and Iraq. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of American kids died in Iraq. And it turns out that was for Israel. There were no weapons of mass destruction. We got the fake intelligence from Israel. There was no nothing. We've just been systematically eliminating Israel's opponents. They've attacked 7 of their neighbors. And what's interesting is they call this propaganda the 8th front. I don't know if that's a reference to the fact that they wanted us to attack 7 of their neighbors, and we did. And the 8th front is who? It's us.
Yeah.
We're the 8th front. They have to manipulate and lie to us to get us to fund and fight their wars and their genocides.
Yeah. These investments are bombs. Buying TikTok is a weapon of mass destruction. Like, that's how you fight that war. And it's bizarre that any of this is legal. I mean, simultaneously, it's not bizarre at all. Again, as Cenk pointed out, they've bought all the politicians. That's why it's legal to do this sort of thing. And yeah, I have no idea if the individual commentators get checks or even necessarily know about the payments. But I do know this: if you're like this media company and you've been handed $15 million and one of your hosts starts going hard against Israel's military strategy, that's gonna be it for that show. You're not gonna like, well, we want the $15 million, but we really like Larry Elder. Like I have a feeling they're probably going to go with the money on that.
Well, not only that, I mean, in another instance, you got Ben Shapiro obviously running a giant propaganda outfit for Israel, and we have a test case. Candace Owens went against Israel, and she was immediately eliminated. So, and guys, if you think it's just Salem or just Daily Wire, are you crazy? In mainstream media, for my entire life, if you said anything that they viewed out of bounds about Israel, which they thought anything critical of Israel was out of bounds, you would be eliminated. This story is not about that. We've covered this in other stories, but there's also a network of brown shirts in this country that work for Israel. And the minute that you criticize Israel anywhere in media, they spring into action. Even in social media, even to average Americans now, we've also reported on that. Getting people fired from their jobs, from like regular jobs, accounting job, doctors, teachers, like that. And guess what? Our media never reports on the Israeli network in this country that tries to get anyone criticizing Israel fired. And in media, that's not a maybe. If you criticize Israel, they will definitely target you, and they will definitely try to get you fired. And if you work in mainstream media, they will succeed 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, I know that we want to get to this next story. I just want to briefly mention that the diplomacy budget, Netanyahu apparently increased from 150 million to 750 million. So they can take over a whole bunch of digital strategy and AI companies with that.
Yeah, well, let me really quick build on that. So that's 730 actually million, to be fair. I covered a story from Naftali Bennett, the guy who's now leading in the next election in Israel, is just as right-wing as Netanyahu, just as monstrous. So like, oh, we got rid of Netanyahu. If that happens, oh, it's all solved. No, Bennett's talking about invading a NATO country. They've lost their minds over in Israel. Anyways, he put out, and part of them losing their minds is they're now admitting things publicly. He's like, we have a terrific Hezbollah plan for America and the world, and we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in influencing Americans in the West to do what we say. You just admitted it, dude. You just like literally said. Well, then is Naftali Bennett an anti-Semite? Is Netanyahu an anti-Semite for saying we're going to spend $730 million to influence and manipulate the West?
They're playing into tropes, I think.
I mean, what is? So do you see what I'm saying? Look, the tropes. I grew up believing the tropes were real in the sense of like, those are really terrible things to say and you should never say them. And it's like totally false and outrageous. No. The tropes are political booby traps. It's part of Israeli propaganda. Now, if you're Jewish out there and you were taught that the tropes are real and oh my God, anybody who says anything that resembles a trope is an anti-Semite, I get it. I was brainwashed as a Turk into believing the Armenian genocide didn't happen and that the Turks were right about everything. We all get brainwashed by our different ethnic group. The only question is how much. And for people who support Israel, the brainwashing is 2 billion%. Israel's hated by everyone. Everyone hates the Jews. They're gonna kill you all. They're gonna kill you. You gotta attack first. You gotta protect yourself. You have to wipe out the anti-Semites. If you don't wipe out the anti-Semites, they're gonna kill you all. So massive brainwashing to get you to believe that the tropes are real and you have to watch out for the tropes, right? But what's a trope? Oh, the trope is Jews control the media. Now, that's not remotely true because there's tons of Jews that are for peace. 63% of Jewish Americans are against the Netanyahu government, etc. But does Israel, you see the switcheroo they do, Jews, Israel? No, Israel is a government. It doesn't represent all Jewish people. Governments do terrible things all the time. Our government does terrible things all the time. And so they say, no, because it's a Jewish state, you're never allowed to criticize it, all the troops apply to it, etc., etc. It's a trick, it's a political booby trap. And so Israel knows that and they go, oh great, we'll hide behind the tropes. Since you can't say that Jews control the media, we will say we are going to try to control the media. We're going to spend $730 million to control your media. We're going to pay off all your hosts. We're going to buy TikTok, we're going to buy CBS, we're going to CNN, but you're not allowed to say it. Netanyahu's allowed to say it, Naftali Bennett's allowed to say it, but you're not allowed to say the thing that we just told you we're doing.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Ben Gvir and Smotrich are like, oh yeah, we're gonna ethnically cleanse southern Lebanon. We're gonna take all of that land, we're gonna take all of Gaza. And you go, well, it looks like you're doing a genocide. They're like, blood libel, it's a trope. No, it's a giant lie by the Israelis to manipulate you into believing that you're not allowed to criticize them, even though you're not an Israeli. You're an American. You're allowed to criticize America. Why wouldn't you be allowed to criticize Israel?
Yeah.
So look, and they've literally arrested people in this country. They've taken away government contracts if you oppose Israel. The amount of oppression that Israel does in America is unbearable.
Yeah.
And now you know definitively they are trying to manipulate you into taking your money and your military and use it for their benefit, and they're paying off mainstream media to do it. And if that doesn't work, they come to eliminate you. And so, no, I'm not interested in being quiet about a bunch of thugs in this country, a terrorist network terrorizing all Americans, and especially people in media and people in the government. You're not allowed to defy Israel. Well, then kiss my American ass. I will defy Israel. I know you'll try to destroy us. You're already trying to destroy us. So, well, game on. We'll fight you back as Americans. You come in here as Israelis and know who the Israelis are. When Scott Jennings tells you on TV 24/7, he doesn't just kiss Israel's ass. I mean, Trump's ass. He is up Israel's ass. Every time Israel's mentioned on CNN, that Scott Jennings says, "How dare you? All the Muslims are terrorists, and Israel is our beloved ally." Why? Because that bitch got paid to say that. He's deeply corrupt, and he's an Israel. In my opinion, anyone who took money from these guys are literal Israeli assets.
Register.
They should all register. By the way, Parscale and the two main leaders have registered as foreign agents.
Yeah.
They are literally foreign agents of a different country. Super last thing. Any country, it doesn't matter if it's Belgium or Brazil. If Brazil was like, we are now going to spend $700 million manipulating Americans so that they will give us hundreds of billions of dollars, and then they will attack Venezuela, Cuba, well, that we could throw those in gratis, right? But Colombia, Peru, Bolivia on our behalf, and if you don't, you're anti-Brazilian, and we're gonna destroy your career. We're gonna, if you say you're pro-Brazil and you're pro our wars, and pro our genocide, then we're gonna give you millions of dollars. If you say you're not, we're gonna destroy you. Well, I would be super pissed about Brazil doing that. And it's not because I'm anti-Brazilian, right? So, but they say this propaganda because they literally bought that propaganda. So they can get you to believe that anyone who criticizes Israel hates Jews or is anti-Semitic. That is a giant lie and part of how they manipulate you.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.